It works around giving you the feeling that you're not enough. They're not headed for happiness. They're headed for the sense of failure. The younger Koreans have lost access to anything higher. What I think is it's stupid, waste of time, and most of all, never leaves you feeling satisfied. Never. The reason for that is satisfaction only comes to the person that lives in a certain way, not that accomplishes this or that or that. There are two ways of looking at the universe. Universe one, value in universe one is only created mathematically. Anything that where value can be mathematized ends up worshiping money. It was with human beings, if you give them a model that allows them to define a materialistic goal, then money becomes the only source of value. That's why they want to drive Mercedes, they want big houses, and they're desperately searching for something that has a real meaning or real value, and they can't find it. And then they get angry at God, basically. Maybe that helps, I don't know. So that's universe one. All they are in universe one is a bunch of rocks, a bunch of inanimate objects. Now, universe two is very different. In universe two, value comes from the act of creation. It's not even what you've created, the act of creating right now. And that is limitless in the type of creative thinking and creating, really. So those are the two ways of looking at life. Now, people are conformists and they'll look for something that doesn't exist and they won't stop. And the reason they won't stop is they see somebody else going for the same thing. And therefore they think, well, that must be the bottom line. That must be the correct goal because my cousin accepts it. Well, it's possible, but they're going to be miserable. And they'll have the feeling like they can't grasp it. They can't get satisfaction. Let's say your goal is to win the Academy Award, let's say. So you think that that's a good goal, and you think that once you've achieved the goal, gotten this award or whatever, that there'll be no further failures. Now, unfortunately, there's no such thing as that. There is no singular accomplishment that automatically ensures your future. Not at all. And you can see every week that some big stars die. Sometimes it's just time. That's to be distinguished from having a goal as a process. As a process, it has to go on forever. And victory cannot last more than one day. And then you have to do it again and do it again. I would have more fun. I wouldn't try to compete and win because you're winning nothing. So we call that renunciation. We renounce what appears to be a lot of fun, but really is a lack of a connection to a higher force. And it has to have two things. One is your personal ambition, desire, whatever you want to do. That's individual. And simultaneously, it has to make a contribution to the whole, to the tribe, to the country, whatever, to the group. And you have to do both of those at the same time. It's so difficult to do both at the same time that most people don't end up doing either one of those. And the result is they're unhappy. And because they're unhappy, they tend to attack each other. Because everybody thinks the other guy has this magic, but they don't have it any more than you have it. It can't last. It has to be reconstructed every day. It means that if you're working on a spiritual, creative level, and you work really hard, and then you work all day on it, and you have an idea, and then you go to sleep, right? When you wake up, whatever it was that you were building has disappeared. It was anything that has real value has to be rebuilt over and over and over. It has to be rebuilt until you die. So you have to see the value of death. That's what the world is. Everybody wants more. Everyone feels deprived. And we have a saying for that, which is deprivation is creation. So what that means is it's only when you're willing to deprive yourself of a lot of these faulty beliefs, only then will you let go of them, will you ever feel satisfied. So to some degree, satisfaction comes when people can function within a group with somewhat higher ideas. One thing is you have to raise the value of being creative as a process. The younger Koreans have lost access to anything higher. So they look in the West and they say, well, I guess that's as good as it can get. the trick of it looks like a very fun, pleasurable, satisfying life, but it won't. That's what it's called, the true and false magic. The real magic is just the ability for us to exist. That's real magic. And see, what the Koreans have, which is different and sets them off a little bit, is they have very strong willpower. But the question is, how do you utilize? Here's the obvious answer. But see, if you have a strong willpower, there's somebody trying to take it away. There's somebody trying to use it for their own benefit. And when you lose your freedom, there's no further evolution, no further satisfaction. You have to look at failing and loss as inevitable, and then you have to ask yourself, because the only thing you get out of it is recovery. The most important thing in life is not how successful you are, it's how quick you recover from failure, and that's called speed. If the person who recovers fastest ends up as the most successful. Power comes from the person who, once he realizes there's something that he needs to do, does it faster than anybody else. And we call that speed. Length of time it takes to go from average speed of recovery to the fastest speed of recovery. People don't think so. If time is finite, then your ability to use time well becomes the most important thing, because that's the commodity in least supply. It works around giving you the feeling that you're not enough. It's a feeling of failure that never stops. And every time somebody does something, not a small thing, but let's say they get a face job or something, every time they think that they want that, but they don't have it, they attack themselves. So measuring yourself by outer physical standards, make sure you hate yourself. I don't care how good the surgeon is, and nobody questions it anymore. They just accept it as, oh, that's the way to live and be happy, which is ridiculous. If you want us to make it more simple, they're not headed for happiness. They're headed for the sense of failure, what the potentials are for human beings. And you learn what those potentials are, not by being very rich or successful. You get to use those forces or those powers because of your discipline and because of your ability to not to be selfish.